Hi, everybody. This is Tony Marcolini. I'm joined with my co-host, Seamus McDonough. Welcome to the podcast. It may interest you to know. Our very special guest today is a young actor who's up and coming and has got many exciting projects he's in the middle of, which I hope he's going to talk to us about today. Everybody, please welcome Anthony O'Connell.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Thank you, Seamus. Thank you, appreciate it. Yes, Tony, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Seamus. Thank you, guys.
Well, we're excited to have you. I met you as you were much younger. We worked on a couple of projects together, and I think the instant I saw you do your very first scene, I was very taken back. I said, "This is a young star in the making," because you are a very, very talented actor. And I've sat back since then.
Thank you.
And I'm watching your star on the rise. So, you have so many exciting projects. I want to start, I guess, with the latest one. I think you're presently filming it. You may be done already. I don't know. I'm with Armand Assante. I think the name is Don Q. Is that right? Don Quixote?
Yes. Yeah, it's Don Q. Yeah, we just wrapped on it. Yep. So it's wrapped. It's in post-production now. So they're going to be, editing it, and it should be released sometime early 22. Probably, about February, around February. Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about it. What's your character? And first tell us what it's about, and then tell us about your character.
Okay. So Don Q. Okay. Don Q is essentially a retelling of Miguel de Cervantes' Don Quixote.
I'm very familiar. Yeah, it's a great tale.
So, of course. But instead of it, being set in early, 17th century, it's, modern day 21st century, set in Little Italy and Chinatown, which is where, pretty much 95% of it was shot. And what's left of Little Italy. But Armand Assante's character, he essentially plays Alonso. His name is Al Quinto, but he's a self-proclaimed. He calls himself Don Q, and I end up becoming like his protege. In a way, his right-hand man is henchman. So I'm essentially Sancho Panza in the story.
Oh,
my character's name is Santo. Yeah, Santo, kid from Brooklyn. And I'm working as a waiter in a restaurant in Little Italy, and Armand's character Don Q, he lives there. He lives in an apartment in Little Italy, and he frequents this restaurant that I work in, and he sees my boss in the restaurant, who's a real jerk, a real piece of work, and he's always mistreating me. But he sees my diligence in working in the restaurant. I guess he takes notice to me, and he sees that this guy's treating me the way he is, and he really ends up taking me under his wing. But little do I know how who he actually is as a person, and it goes into a crazy epic kind of tale, similar to that story in a way.
Chasing windmills.
Yeah. And the windmills, you will see the windmills in the film, in a different way. A very, very interesting shot, the way that they did that, but it's very cool, very cool.
So tell me about the first day on set with Armand Assante. Of course, a great actor, a renowned actor, who's done many major films. So what's that like? What's the first day on set with Armand like?
Well, so I had met with him several times before the first day. So as far as being around him and working with him, we had done some rehearsals together. I was comfortable. I thought I was comfortable. I would be comfortable with the idea of being in a scene with him the first day. It was a scene at night. It was in the basement of a restaurant in Little Italy. And it was supposed to, what I thought it was going to be was a big party scene. So I said, all right, this is a nice way, to start production. Everyone, there's going to be a lot of people around. We're all going to be cheersing. And obviously it's not the beginning of the film. As you know, like it's rarely ever shot in like a chronological sequence.
Right.
I get into the basement and it's the complete opposite of a party scene, like big gathering with a bunch of people. It's this intimate scene at a table with the lights shining over the table. And there's just a few of these actors who are playing, gangsters in the background, but it's a very intimate scene with just a few of us. And it was with Armand, myself, Chuck Zito, and Craig DeFrancia, and Claudio Belante, who's actually
all big, yeah, all big
yeah.
actors.
So it was a very, very intimate scene, and so going into that first night, it was tough. It was tough, honestly. That first night, the first day of production is always the most difficult, regardless, going into it. Then the second day was also night scene. I'm saying, okay, well, we got that first night out of the way. This is going to be now that's it. Now we're going into it full steam. The second night was a scene where I end up getting thrown into a stairwell right outside of a door, and I'm surrounded by these guys, and Chuck Zito is getting ready to castrate me.
Oh.
So and now I'm thinking to myself, how are they gonna shoot this? How's this gonna work? Where we're gonna do some blocking, like what's this gonna be like? Am I gonna, is there gonna be like a prosthetic or something involved? Am I actually gonna get my pants pulled down? How far is this gonna go? Is what I'm thinking. So I actually was terrified. I actually was scared. For just the thought of it alone is enough to drive the scene in the way I was supposed to be feeling. So that was night 2. So the beginning of this production was two of the hardest scenes, and that I had done, I feel like, in my career. So it was a rough start. Honestly, it was a rough start, and late nights.
Yeah, I mean, and also, it sounds like you were probably the youngest in that group, because all those actors have been around. They're pretty well seasoned actors.
Oh, without a doubt.
And so, was there a bit of stage fright, you think, for you in the beginning, or no?
Yeah, no, in the beginning, yeah, in the beginning there was, but then I really started to get in the groove, because even though that first night I had been meeting most of the other cast members and the crew for the first time. Armand I had met with, but everyone else I was meeting for the first time. So there's that too. Outside of shooting the scenes just on set, you're still getting familiar with everyone. But as we got closer, it just gets better and better. It really does. But working with Armand, because he's in almost every, he was working almost every day. He was in almost every scene. So whether it's just me and him, or if it's me, him, and a few other actors, he's the most like intensely professional actor I've ever worked with. He's both equally humble and gracious as he is intense and professional, and he's a perfectionist. Like he really wants to get it right, and he'll keep going. He would stay there all night if he could to get it right. I mean, and the energy that he has and that he brings to it is incredible. But he was a great mentor, off screen as well as on. So it was almost like it was mirroring what we were playing, because off screen he was mentoring me. He was very helpful in guiding me through each scene. And just an incredible guy. I can't say enough about him, really.
That is so. It's great when that happens. That just makes me. This is so how it's happened. So strange. My friend 2 days ago told me he just spoke to Armand, who I'd never really heard of until a few days ago, about a series he's doing called Ruth, Kevin Dowling, and you just did a movie with him or did a series with him. That's amazing. Yeah, so intense. You know, it's that has me feel so good about him and about how his acting and about acting itself. It makes it so interesting.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, Seamus.
Well,
Totally agree.
I remember seeing Armand Assante for the very first time back in the movie The Marrying Man, right? He did it with Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger, and he plays kind of a gangster type. He's pretty much a gangster in almost every movie he does, where he's a tough guy. He does a lot of that tough guy stuff. But that's the first time I saw him, and I mean, he's seriously tough in the movie, but at the same time funny, like when he delivers his lines. And that's the first time I ever saw him. But since then, he's done a ton of impactful, great film. So I think that's amazing that suddenly you're co-starring opposite my little Anthony. Suddenly co-starring with Armand Assante. I'm so proud and happy for you. I mean,
no, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. But yeah, you will see. It's funny that you mentioned that he would be tough, but he could be funny at the same time. In this film, I mean, you have drama, comedy, and crime. So it essentially really is a dramedy, and that's what that's what's great about him. What working with him, he's versatile, but he could be extremely intense and tough and play that image, but at the same time be sweet in a way, let his guard down, and definitely play that play up that comedy, that comedic kind of role. And so he did that for sure.
So what's your most memorable moment on set?
Probably I'd have to say we did a scene in a skate park in Chinatown. So one of Don Q's enemies are these skateboarders in Chinatown, because they would come from Chinatown into Little Italy and kind of vandalize what's left of Little Italy, which, as you guys probably know, is really just a couple of blocks. But they'd come into Little Italy just like just vandals, coming in there and just wrecking stuff. So that was one of his enemies. I feel like it's like reminiscent of like the Lost Boys, like in Hook. Remember in 1990 Hook, or Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman, like they were like the Lost Boys. But Don Q, he entertains this, this behavior, and he wants to go at it, with their kids, they're teenagers. But so once I'm now his his wingman. I'm with him day to day, like just whatever he wants to do. Like I'm like, all right, let's do. What are we doing today? Where are we going? And we go to the skate park, and he confronts these skaters, and like they didn't know that a group of Don Q's guys are waiting. They're like they're waiting in the shadows, like to attack these skaters. That whole scene, the whole day, the whole dynamic of that scene was just there was just so much action, so much going on. That was it was a very memorable day. It was very funny, just the whole setup, because in the skate park too behind us, there must have been at least 50 skaters just there that day, who were just at least hanging out and watching, and everyone was talking and hanging out when we weren't shooting. And that was a very fun day. That was a very fun day to be a part of that chaos. So
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, it really was, James. And then the skaters end up coming back for retaliation later on in the story. There's just so many great scenes, so many funny moments, and so many things that I wasn't a part of, that I can't wait to see. To be totally honest, like there's a lot that I wasn't a part of, too. even though I was in a majority of it, there were so many things that I didn't get to see that I'm looking forward to seeing it come together.
And you make me want to see it also.
Yeah.
It's so funny, like when you work with one actor can raise the consciousness of the whole movie, make it like a so serious, not even so serious, but like fun, but so legitimate and a worthwhile project. One actor can do that, and I worked on a project with Martin Sheen one time, way back in the day, and Charlie was there at the same time too. And as soon as they walked on the scene, everything got risen up, and
Yes.
everything was. But it's just elegant and beautiful, and it's like real acting, and that's what I love about acting.
Seamus, 150%. I mean, you're so right, because they set this bar. They set this bar with the level of their energy and professionalism, the way that they come on. I mean, like yeah, with Armand, but then we had, you know, Vinny Pastore of The Sopranos. He came in for a few days of shooting, and then he completely changed the energy in a whole new way, but in a beautifully comedic way. Like his improvisations were just hysterical. So he was one of those guys who just brought that comic relief, but his energy on set just brought everybody, you know, because he came in, let's say, we're like halfway through filming. So, or we're like 3/4 of the way through filming. So you go through these levels. There's a beginning when you first start, and there's this excitement, but this nervousness. Then you get comfortable. Then sometimes things could get a little, you know, things could get a little hectic or a little hairy. You know, you're behind on schedule, or you know how somebody's feeling that day. Then all of a sudden he comes in and he just, you know, catapults the energy into like, all right, let's do this. You know, let's like great. I'm telling you, like great guys. And we had Joe D'Onofrio from the Bronx Tale and Goodfellas.
Sure.
He played another character. He was awesome. It was just so many, you know, interesting, you know, really cool things about this film that came together. That just, it's amazing the way it comes together. You guys know, when making a film, how things have to really come together, and in every level, it's such a collaborative effort. It's a team. It is so much like of everyone being on board, and everyone really was. They really were
like a family, huh?
You do, you really do. You become a family, and by the end, it was a bittersweet, you know, kind of feeling, because it's like every day I was coming to Little Italy. I was getting to know people in Little Italy as well, like what was left from the generation before, and I'm thinking, you know, one day this is probably going to be gone. I mean, it's been getting so, it was huge at one time, so and that's essentially what Armand's character, you know, Don Q, is doing. He pretty much takes to the streets like a vigilante who wants to bring back these old school kind of core values of the way he sees the world. He doesn't see it for what it is in this, you know, modern day, you know, quite literally. So the film deals with mental health in a way too,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, just very prevalent, you know, today.
How beautiful having to do with mental health. It's just such a problem these days. Such a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, and probably true to the original Don Quixote.
Oh yeah, without a doubt,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yep.
So, what the chemistry between the actors? How did you feel? Did you click? Was there a lot of chemistry instantly?
Yeah, you know, because I think, well, no, I know that a lot of these actors have worked together on previous projects, or they even like Armand Assante and Vinny Pastore had worked together, but I think the last time they actually worked together was on the Gotti film, which was about, you know, 20 years ago. So it's like they, you know, they had maybe worked on a couple of things, but that was when they you know, when they, like, because I remember Vinny saying that, like, I haven't worked with this guy in 20 years, but it was like when they got together, it was like they were just picking up right where they left off.
Yeah.
You know, but other guys have worked together in other things too. So I think they naturally had that chemistry. And then I was thrown into the mix. And I feel like I adapted, I adjusted well, and we all just, we all came together like, like a family, like Seamus said. It was a very, very good dynamic with these, but bunch of characters. Let me tell you. I mean,
I can believe that.
it's just, there was, like they say, never a dull moment, never a dull moment. Like, Chuck Zito, for example, I mean, was full of stories every day. I mean, he had stories for days. This guy, he lived the life of 10 men, him and Armand. Like just the stories that, like, I was entertained even when we weren't working. Second, when you're working on things, like sometimes set, you guys know how it could be. You're waiting around, you're sitting around a lot, but it never felt like that. It never felt like I was bored because of the people who I was around. I mean, it was just incredible.
What a great experience. Not surprising, and I'm sure I can't wait to see it. But I think that was such an amazing experience that you had with a great group of actors. I'm going to
Without
change.
a doubt.
Yeah, I'm going to change complete speeds on you and say, tell me about the Metropolitan Opera House. You were just in a play there, were you not?
Yes, yes. Turndone. Yeah. Yes, I was in
Tell me about it. The
I was in
Metropolitan Opera
Turndone.
House also, I mean, wow, what an experience that had to be the first time
No,
on stage there.
Yeah, and that, the Met Opera House is I mean, just a magical place. It's just one of the ways that I could really describe it. But I auditioned for a De Rosenkavalier with Renee Fleming was in, and that was going to be one of her last shows. Her last performances was going to be De Rosenkavalier in 2017, and I auditioned for playing Leopold, which was the character Baron Ox's son in the show, and I got the part. So I've been at the Met since 2017.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I thought this was your first time. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
no, yeah, I've been there since 2017. But then, I mean, 2020, it really, I mean, shut down completely. So that was the only time where I really wasn't there for a while. But the first time, and even it never changed really from the first time being on stage to just most recently, in terms of the last time I was on stage for the season. It's the same feeling every time when you're out there. Like, it's amazing that it doesn't change. You'd think you'd get more and more used to it, you'd get comfortable, but you don't, in a great way though. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but in a great way.
Well, somewhat awestruck, right? You have to be a little awestruck. I mean, to step out on the Metropolitan, it's suddenly you're there as a person on stage that other people are coming to see, and to think of the history. I think that's been there before you.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
talent and what has happened on that stage before you ever got to the house or stepped out on the stage. I think you have to be a little humbled, and a little bit in awe. I would think. I would, of course, never experienced that myself, but I would imagine that's how you'd feel.
Oh, no, absolutely, Tony. As far as going out on stage, and now you're here in front of 3,000 some odd people, like, it's completely different from film, as you could have you could imagine.
Yeah.
There's this camera, a foot or 2 feet away from you, which was what I was really more inclined to doing. I was really always into film more, and when I first got into acting, I always thought of myself as a film actor and always just wanted to do film. But as you get into this business, you realize, or I did at least, like, I can't just do film. Like, I need to experience things. I need to, I need to, get on stage and just understand or see what that feels like. And it honestly ended up becoming the best training I've ever could have had, was working on stage, on any theatrical production, even before the opera. But the funny thing about the Met Opera was I had never been to an opera ever. I've been to a lot of Broadway shows growing up because my mother loved going to see Broadway shows, and she'd always take us as kids growing up. But the opera I had never been to, so I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anyone there, and here I am going to audition for this show, and Renee Fleming is the star. And I didn't realize until after I had got the part, when people would talk about that, like, do you understand? Like, this is the Met Opera. Like, it's the Metropolitan Opera. And I'm like, yeah, the Met Opera. It's great. It's cool. It's really cool. And they're like, no, you don't understand. It is you're with Renee Fleming. And I, to be honest, I feel embarrassed saying it, but at that time I had no idea who she was or who anyone was. So I just saw her, come in for rehearsals, and while we're rehearsing, we're there, and I'm just there like to act. But I think that's what helped me get the part in the first place. I do believe that there was no, if it was my favorite actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, he walks in, or I'm auditioning for something to be a part of a production with him, I think there's so much pressure, so much on the line knowing that. Whereas with this, I had no idea about anything. So I was just going there for fun. I said, oh, this will be a fun experience. Let me just go there. And that was, I just showed up. And next thing you know, I'm in that world. I'm like, wow, this is really neat. So it's just such a fun experience. And acting in general, and this industry, as you guys know, is just such an adventure with different places it takes you, the people you meet. It's just, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Honestly, I really, really couldn't.
Well, it's so obvious that you've really imbibed the experience, and thanks for telling us all about that, because that's the backstory we don't hear about because we're not there. And so thank you for telling us all the backstory.
Of course.
Yeah. And I always bring it up on these interviews, like we do with actors or creative people, that the Greeks created acting really as the purpose of art. They say, I agree, is to make us emote. So just interviewing you now, seeing you on screen here virtually, has me want to see your film, and has me excited to act again. So
yeah. No, absolutely. It's going to be Don Q is going to be very fun to watch. I'm very excited about it. I'm really looking forward to you guys seeing it, and to hear what you guys think about it.
Where is it going to be released?
I haven't been told yet. I know for sure, sometime early 22, I know for sure, but that I haven't heard yet exactly what they're going to be doing with it. But I'm sure I know that they plan to put it into festivals. I'm sure they want to circuit it in some film festivals. But as far as like theatrical release or on like Netflix, Amazon, right, something, because that does seem like, almost the way nowadays that that kind of outlet like Netflix and Amazon. It's a totally different way of
even than a few years ago. The pre-COVID way, it seems to be gone. Yeah,
personally, I love going to a theater to see a film. I love doing that. I've always have. I just love the idea of that, going there to see it. I just saw House of Gucci and Last Night in Soho. So those are the most two recent films that I saw, and it was just a great time. It's just and great films they were.
Well, I've heard a lot about House of Gucci. I haven't seen it yet.
It was fun. It it was fun to watch. It was very entertaining. No, it was a great picture.
Well, talk to us about the creative process for you, because I'm a firm believer that that you talked about collaboration before, and I think, I mean, it is so collaborative to create a film. There's certainly the person writing who's doing creating is how they come up with the story, you know, what dialogue they give the characters, how they move us through their mind, the story they're telling. But there's also the actors, I think, in that they take a character and they make it their own, right? They bring these nuances to the character. They bring life to the person off the page, and that's something so creative. I mean, you read the character, of course, but there's such a difference between a paper character and a character that you breathe life into for the world to embrace or love or hate.
Right.
So what is that like for you? What is the creative process like for you in going in and doing that, absorbing that role and becoming that person and bringing a you to it, bringing an Anthony, you know, your perspective or your spin to it? How does that work? I mean, does it just happen naturally? Does it something you go jogging and you think it over in your head and suddenly you know what you want to do? What does creativity look like for Anthony?
Yeah, I love that. I love that question, and just thinking about it because of all the times that I have, you know, watched other actors on YouTube. I was literally the same exact question that you asked. I was always curious about, and I'd be looking those clips up on YouTube, like what was that like? And then now it's my turn, you know, and now I'm doing it. I said, how am I gonna? I've watched these clips of how they've approached it, you know, for inspiration. But when it comes down to it and it's up to you, you can only draw from what you feel or what you know. And everything in a way, in a sense, kind of goes out the window. So I did first and foremost what I thought was, you know, the right way to start approaching it. And I said, okay, let me start, you know, doing some research. And then obviously, aside from, you know, reading the script over and over, but I had help too from the people around me, especially like Armand, as I said, like he was all about rehearsal. He didn't want to just show up, you know, on set and then go from there and just wing it. He wanted to get together and rehearse. That was important. I met this guy, a great guy. He has a podcast. This guy, Premium Pete Givaldi. He was from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, which is where my character was from. So I met him through this production. I was able to talk to him about what it was like growing up there and what it's like to be from there. So he told me a lot about that, you know, that experience. So that was very helpful. And then drawing from my own experiences, that to me is very important. Thinking about how this relates to me in some type of way, because at the end of the day, no matter what, even though you're playing this character, you are bringing a part of yourself to it. You're showing up there, and a part of that has to come from you in some way. So when it came to Armand's character, Don Q, our relationship reminded me so much of the relationship that I had with my uncle, who passed unfortunately a few years ago. He was very young. He passed. He was a very bad alcoholic. But we had this relationship that was just so reminiscent of that. And he believe it or not, he had a similar look even to Armand. So when I was looking at Armand, sometimes I was seeing my uncle. And Armand's character, Don Q, he was a tortured, you know, kind of soul in a way, with this, you know, this mental illness. And that's exactly what my Uncle Lou had. He did, and it was something that he didn't address. He just, you know, kind of just took to the bottle. But so that personal experience, drawing from that and incorporating that into thinking about this character, that was for me the most important. And then coming back to the collaboration, Tony, that you were talking about, with this director, Claudio Belante, an Italian director from Milan. He was very good at giving the actors their freedom. He really gave you your freedom to do your thing. He only at certain times, when it came to his vision, would come in and very subtly, very humbly, respectfully tell you in some way about how he was feeling about the scene. But he was great as far as he was more there with you, working with you. He like really guiding you in that process by allowing you to, to like he gave us so much trust, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah, that's the long-ended rambling answer of the question. I hope I answered it.
It's so obvious that you love what you do and you love acting and you make me want to act again. So it's beautiful.
You got it.
Yeah, you know what? I mentioned some names there. I actually do a play called Kid Shamrock. It's about a real live professional boxer from Long Island, Bobby Cassidy, who was one of the world's boxer. And his son Bobby Cassidy Jr. wrote a play about him, and I played the lead. And John Duddy's in it. John Duddy's in the play.
John Duddy, yeah. Tony, we worked together on one of your projects, Tony, coveting.
Yes.
He's great, great guy. Yeah, I love that Kid Shamrock. I love that name.
Yes, and now we might we interviewed Valerie David recently, who had her own show, The Pink. What was it called again, Tony?
Oh boy. I've forgotten. She's a 3-time cancer survivor, and essentially she wrote and stars in a play about her experience. Yes. Some amazing work. Yeah.
And we might do The Pink Shamrock. We'll see. We work that out. So
that would
just a collaboration.
That'd be cool. That'd be an interesting take on it. No reason why you couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? You do anything these days. Give it a shot. Anyway, we worked with Vinny Vella on. He worked when Kid Shamrock with us. Have you heard of you know Vinny? He passed away a few years back. He was in The Godfather.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Actor. Yeah. But he every day we had a routine. I would go get a corned beef sandwich for him and me and bring it to him. He'd give me the money and we had this routine. It was he had so much experience, and he just said, we need to do this every day. We did it every single day. We did the show, and it was just reminded me of that. So thanks.
That's a nice tradition to have. Corned beef is delicious. Man, that's getting me hungry. I haven't had corned beef in a long time.
Pastrami. I'm wrong. It wasn't corned beef. That's the Irish version. It was pastrami.
Oh, yeah. Thinking like a true Irishman. I know. Me and you both. Well, the pastrami. Oh, yes. Yes.
So Anthony, tell us, what do you have on the horizon? What's coming up for you?
So in pre-production, I'm going to be working on a series called Crimson City. And it's really essentially a vampire series set in New York City. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. That because I really end up going from, just an everyday kind of human in a way to going over to the dark side. So
it's hard to picture you that way.
It's going to be a completely different. We've already done table read for it, but that's what's going to be so fun about it is like with Don Q, it was just this gradual change from this more kind of innocent, unsuspecting kind of guy who's just working and he's nervous, he's got a wife, he's got a kid on the way, and he's really anxious about the future and how he's gonna work it all out. And then he meets Don Q, and his life just spirals into it. It's so great, but then very low. So but he goes from, it's a gradual change in that character. Whereas this now in Crimson City, it's clear cut. It's okay. All of a sudden, I'm here, and then boom, I'm a completely different, kind of character now. So it's going to be fun to play that. And also a series that I'm hopefully I'm going to be working on very soon, making Menendez. So if you remember back in '96, the Menendez brothers,
Yes,
who were convicted of murdering their parents.
yeah.
And I'd be playing Eric Menendez.
Wow.
I'd be playing one of
Wow.
them. So that would be great. That would be great to work on that. And that I've been thinking, as far as approaching that character, just because going back to what you were saying before, Tony, also sometimes drawing from other people's performances. Not so much that let's say you're taking this person's performance, or you're imitating this person's accent. But let's say if it was a very specific accent, you may research someone, from that particular region, and kind of use that accent as a as a guide. But even though it's a couple of years old, I just recently watched on Netflix. It's a mini series, the assassination of Gianni Versace, true American crime story. But the way this actor played that role, I thought was incredible. But so that was good, very good inspiration from that show, from that series. As far as like, what were these these two boys, these young men, what were they thinking? What's going on? What's happening in there to get to that point? So
Sure, I think that would be wow. I can't. I guess because I first came to know you, like I said, as a young actor, and for the audience who doesn't know you, I mean, you're just a kind, funny, delightful young man. And so it's very hard for me to see or to imagine you like in a scene that like with that level of evilness or murdering. It's really hard to see, and I think you'd make it all the more believable. Like I remember years ago seeing a movie with Mark Harmon, the actor, and he played Ted Bundy. And prior to that, he had played, just the nice guys mostly in movies.
Yes.
And then the first time I saw him in that light, he's murdering people one at a time, and you see him with that, intensity and the level of like evilness he brings to it. I couldn't even watch Mark Harmon again for like years. It took me to get that performance in the movie.
Tony, that was another one I saw. Can't believe you just mentioned that one and that particular portrayal. I thought that was incredible.
Right. Like, I mean, that's some scary stuff right there.
Yes.
He played that with intensity.
But if you get into the mind of the actual perpetrator, they don't everyone thinks they're right. They don't see themselves as a murderer and causing havoc and chaos. They think that they justify what they're doing. And that's they justify. Everyone thinks they're right. And so that's what we need to take that into consideration also.
You're right. No. You're right. You're right, Seamus. And something that you mentioned earlier, Tony, too, was hating the person just as much as loving them. So when I've watched things before, there's been times where I actually disliked this person, and I'd have to step back and say, okay, well, it's an actor, they're acting. I know, like I'm acting, I'm an actor, but there's been times where, and that I appreciate just as much. It's tough to play the villains, but if someone's playing a good villain and you really hate their guts, then they did their job. They did their job. I remember watching Gladiator for the first time and watching Joaquin Phoenix's performance. And then I watch him, you know, a few years later and Walk the Line as Johnny Cash, and two completely different feelings that I had for him in Gladiator as opposed to Walk the Line. It's like Walk the Line. I really felt for this guy. I really felt for him. I loved him, and in Gladiator, I despised him. I hated him. So I think with the villain, that's the goal. So you know, if I end up having people come up to me after I do this one and they tell me, you know, and they're giving me dirty looks, I'm going to take it as a compliment.
That means you're winning.
Someone's got to, you got to play the villain. Someone's got to play the villain too.
Yeah.
I mean, and you might as well go all the way with it.
Well, Seamus, you had an experience like that, Seamus, didn't you? You were in something and you were the villain.
I was the villain. Exactly. I did. My first play off Broadway was at the Irish Arts Centre. The Bobby Sands play. Bobby Sands was the hunger striker who was first guy to go on hunger strike, protesting against the British occupation of Northern Ireland. And I played not that side. I played one of the British. I played the prison guard who beat the crap out of him every day. So, I didn't like that. At the beginning, then I realized, well, the more vicious and the more nasty I am, the more I'll be hated. But that's what the character was, and that's the kind of character he was. And so people hated me in that. I left the theater, people hating me.
Right, but that was the idea for the audience.
Good job, Seamus. You did it. You did it right. You did it. You did it justice. That's it.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see you in these projects. I can't wait, for the new one to open, Don Q. I'd love to come see you one day at the Metropolitan Opera House if you're still, I don't know how you're feeling.
Me too. Let's go together, Tony. Let's go.
Okay, you got it, Seamus.
Absolutely.
We're gonna come see you. Can we come backstage, take pictures with you?
Well, before COVID, it was so much easier to do something like that. I would love to. I'd love to be able to do that with you guys. We'll see how it is, now. But I know before COVID, they were much more.
There's got to be restrictions. Yeah, there's got to be restrictions.
And forgiving with it.
I know some people at the Metropolitan Opera anyway. I know some people over there.
Yeah.
Make a phone call.
Yeah. That's it. No, put in the call. I'd love to have you guys. I'd love to see you guys over there.
So, and then also, I mean, as you said, you're coming up with a new show, Crimson
City. Yes.
City. And where is that coming out? Do you know yet? Is that found a home, or are you just still filming the pilot?
That's still in pre-production. Still, we haven't started it just yet. But in early 22 is when we're set to start production, to start filming.
Now, is it found a distribution home? I mean, do you have a network, or are you just doing the pilot first and since
yes, it has. It's found distribution. Jen Quaglio, who I worked on with a short film, she is the one who really approached me about it. We had worked before in a short film, and she asked me if I would take on this role in Crimson City. She's acting in it. She's the writer and she's the director.
Wow.
And the whole team. Oh, what's great about this too that I forgot to mention, the whole team of this production are all women. So it's so she's really about empowering women in that light too. So the whole entire team who did the funding, she's the writer director. It's like strong women. So
we give a shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to Jen. She's she's a go-getter. She's a hustler. She's on it, and she's been really on it the whole thing, the whole way.
So where can people see this series once it's done filming?
Yeah, once it's done, in a similar, like maybe an Amazon or Netflix type of deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
I hope that you're going to come back, and when you're done filming, maybe talk to us about filming the show. and
Oh
how
yeah,
that went.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'd love that. I'd love to do it again anytime with you guys.
Yeah, so keep us updated on your projects as you're doing them. Come back and tell us all about it. Give us all, Seamus, as he said earlier, we love the behind the scenes information.
That's the best parts to me too. I would always, when I first started acting, even before acting, I always love looking up the stories of this actor's journey, that actor's journey, and then knowing everything about the film too, behind the scenes, like with Spielberg 1975 Jaws. Like I always loved that film. I was always just fascinated by it, and then I'd always want to know, how did they do this, how did they do that, what happened, what went wrong, what chemistry or lack thereof, who hated this person, or there's so much that we don't know about. It comes out, we watch it, we love it, but it's like there was so much that had to happen to make this film. So many of them that we don't know about. There was a great series on Netflix, how the movies that made us, or how and essentially it was how this movie got made or almost did not get made, and classics like Forrest Gump or Pretty Woman, Back to the Future, just where so many things had to come together to make it what it was. It's like, you're like, oh my God, that almost didn't happen. It almost did not happen.
Very true.
So I love it.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you. As I said, we invite you back, and I hope you'll come back and continue updating us and giving us the behind the scenes scoop. Absolutely. Great hanging with you guys. Great chatting. Seamus, it was a pleasure to meet you. Likewise, Anthony. Pleasure thank you. Meet you. My Irish brother, Tony. Great to see. Tony, it was really great to see you again. And I'm really amazed with the recovery, Tony, and what you've done, and it's inspiring. It's honestly it's inspiring what you're doing, and for other people out there, please, you gotta share your story as inspiration for other people. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Anthony, and it was so good to see you and get to spend time with you again. And on that note, we're gonna say goodbye.